Oh, hello. I'm on time to the seventh power. We have a tight schedule today. Hi, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're enjoying a lovely spring afternoon. I'm gonna mute myself on this monitor. Okay, yes, I'm muted over there. We have a lot to get through, guys. It's going to be a quick and snappy one because Lead and I are going live tonight. So we're just going to hit it here pretty quickly, and then we will be going over to that side a little bit later this afternoon. There's a lot of updates for you guys. Yesterday, you guys tuned in. Thank you so much for tuning in on my side as we brought you up to speed with some of the things that are happening with Congress and our friend Fani Willis. The saga continues. I want to thank you guys for all of the support. That is the best performing live stream on this channel. So I am thrilled about that. Also super surprised about that. I can't believe you guys want to watch me. Am I interesting? Am I interesting? Anywho, it's been such a joy being on this YouTube journey. After that stream, I needed to go and get a new light back here. The purple casting light that's in the back. Lead and I hung out. We went to the mall to go to the store to purchase this product, and we met a subscriber, which was really cool. And he had been keeping up with this case. So it's nice to meet you guys out there in the world, but I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. And your girl is, casting this live from Fulton County. I can hear some sirens going by. Maybe they're looking for Fani. I don't know. But today, I'm not even going to waste time. 3 things that we're going to talk about. Yesterday, we broke the news that Boots and team were granted the appeal, right? So Judge McAfee granted these guys the appeal. That means that they appealed the decision that was granted on Friday from Judge McAfee. The appeal was filed on Monday, and as of yesterday, that appeal has been granted. So that means that Judge McAfee is going to step aside and allow the defendants to bring this up to the Court of Appeals, right? The Court of Appeals is going to do a few things. Number one, they're going to make sure that Judge McAfee's decision was sound, right? So with that, I want to look at what Judge McAfee looked at yesterday. So the actual document that he filed in court. And then we're going to rewind a tad bit because I do want to look at the arguments that Boots and team had on this particular case, and we will revisit that in real time. And then lastly, I also just want to give you guys a heartfelt thank you because a ton of you have been showing a lot of love. And sometimes the comment section can get a little nasty. It can get a little nasty. And I'm hearing that we will probably not go live on Lee's side. So disregard that comment. We're going to hang out here, and that's good because that way I know I don't need to rush with you all, right? So we're going to bring you guys up to speed on that thing. And then, of course, we will be looking into the saga with Letitia James. I know that has been huge interest for you guys, of huge interest. So we'll be looking into that as well. Anywho, without further delay, let's get started. I do want to answer one quick question and see who we have in the building. As I was getting ready for the stream, a few of you guys have been mentioning how to get involved with memberships. It's actually pretty simple. So there's 2 ways that you can become a member on this channel. I don't lock people outside yet. I don't do it yet, right? But one, you will want to become a member. I actually treat my members like shareholders of this channel. So when I'm making business decisions, things of the like, I will ask you guys your opinion. If there is a schedule that's happening, I will let you guys know first. So membership has its privileges. It totally does. It totally does. So you're going to want to think about that. You can become a member in one of 2 ways. One, below this video, if you're watching on a desktop or on a phone, you're going to see a button that says join. Okay. You join, you hit that button. That's how you can become a member. The other thing is we also have a lot of really active community members that from time to time will gift memberships. And it's actually really sweet of you guys to do that because that's, you putting forward the message, getting more people involved in the community. So we have that opportunity too. So, and those are picked at random. Okay, so that's how it works. You can be in the chat right now and you could be a non-member. But if someone gifts a membership or multiple memberships, YouTube will pick usernames at random. So it's almost like a lottery, right? That's why you'll hear Lead and I say, hey, if you get a membership, please tell the person that gifted it to you, say thank you, right? Because it is completely random the way that it happens, but that's just the way the YouTube system works. So that's how our memberships operate. I have a few tiers where there might be special polls that I do for folks that have higher tiered memberships. There might be, design options that I'll go through with you guys. We're doing the merch right now for the men. And you guys, last night I put up a poll. There's so many ideas. I forgot about cash. And I was like, how did I forget about cash? Like we thought about, oh, it's in my head. All I wanted was Pantene. There were so many amazing ideas. One guy was like, hey, can you just do a word cloud of all of the shenanigans? And I was like, that's a wonderful idea. So I really do look at these comments, take them seriously, look at your ideas, and think about how we can implement them back in the channel and reinvest in the channel. For example, I had a mic stand that I absolutely hated for like 2 years. So bad that I would have to stick it in a drawer because it was too tall. I now have this lovely like desktop microphone and I love it. But you guys enable me to enhance the production as we go. So you build it as you fly it. You build it as you fly it. So that was a quick note on memberships, how they work, reinvestments in the channel. Let me say hi to a few of you guys, and then we will go right into documents. So shout out to Nessie. Good to see you, Nessie. Galatians, I've been seeing you in here. Born is in here. Let's go. Les is in here as well. Dear Woke Christian, good to see you. Content creator. Les says, hey, AV was on fire yesterday. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Because this is like you seeing a little bit more of me in rare form, but you're getting to know me as well. So I also want to be a little bit personable. Sometimes that could be tough because, the mean people come out too, and they come out with like claws and you're like, well, I didn't expect that. So it's kind of like a pioneer journey. So thank you so much. Rajesh says, I find this quite appealing. I'm glad you like it, Rajesh. Welcome. Joey, it's good to see you, Joe. I think we were chatting on Instagram a day or two ago, so it's good to see you here. EC, I think I just mentioned that comment on memberships and how they work. I saw this earlier as we were getting ready for the stream, so I wanted to make sure that I caught you and caught up with you and mentioned that. Cody says, my membership for the lead attorney is about to expire as well. I mean, there's tiers, guys. I think some of them are like $2 or $3, but at least that means you don't get locked outside when the juicy stuff is happening and you want to be in the chat. So think about it, Cody. I think you would really benefit from it and it'd be really good. But just remember, hitting the join button is how you jump in. So that should be good. Shout out to Nathaniel who says, whoop, whoop, excited. AV, didn't know you were from Boston. Much love and support from Western Mass, though. Guys, I miss Boston so much. But yesterday I was looking at the weather, and in Atlanta, it was 70 degrees. And in Boston, it was 49. I was just like, I think I might want to stay here for a little bit. So really enjoyed that. Cody, were you the person that mentioned the appeal was granted? Yeah, I covered it yesterday in a BBC News article. Some of you guys tore me up for that because you're like, oh my God, the BBC does not call it down the middle. And I'm like, listen, we just need other outlets outside of America. And listen, now that I'm on Twitter, leads on Twitter, tag us in stuff. Tag us in things. It's so funny because I was just looking at something. I was looking for a document and I was on Phil Holloway's his Twitter account. I saw Boots on there. And guess what, guys? Somebody mentioned to him about having like a Boots challenge. And I'm like, oh, who gave you, where did this nickname come from though? I wonder which YouTube community came up with that name. I wonder. So it's really good to see how all this stuff translates. Shout out to Magnus. Shout out to Diane. Hi, Ricky, Adina. Good afternoon, Jack. So many of you guys are in here. And guys, I'm going to cover one quick super because I just, wow. Look at this. Shout out to Mike in Tennessee. And I'm going to turn it up because people were complaining about my button yesterday. Shout out to Mike and Tennessee, who out the gate, we haven't even started for 10 minutes in. Mike is already the stream sponsor. And he has a question here. He says, how will Judge McAfee's decision to allow the appeal affect him in his upcoming election? Hashtag shareholder. Before I answer his question, I need all 500 of you that are in this chat right now to please type in Mike. Please type in Mike. He's starting us off with a very valid question for today's discussion because Judge McAfee's ruling, we saw it. We saw it on Friday, and we all realized that he could have been a little bit more firm and aggressive in his opinion, but because he is going to be up for re-election. He has two people that are running against him in this election. And I think when we were looking at the Megyn Kelly interview with Ashley Merchant talked a lot about runoffs, right? When you have three people in an election, is it a majority vote, right? You have two people that are going to be running against you. I thought it was interesting because in Judge McAfee's opinion, there were moments where he would talk about the appearance of impropriety, how it was legally improper for Fani to do some of this stuff. He did call some of her behavior unprofessional. But what was interesting, and this is why I want to go back to the document that Boots and team put together, the defendants filed on Monday, so we can look at that again with a fresh set of eyes after knowing that Judge McAfee allowed this appeal to happen in conjunction with the case continuing on. So both of these things are going to be happening at the same time. And not to mention, we still are expecting the Supreme Court decision in April to see if President Trump is going to be immune from some of these legal things that he's going through. It's been a rough week for President Trump because of what's happening up in New York. We need a little bit more time to get up to speed on that one, but I know that he's going through some things with Letitia James. So there's another DA, there's another case up there, and there is a pretty substantial bond that's over $400 million to get things squared away, right? So there's a lot of legal issues that are kind of surrounding the former president. But as far as Judge McAfee, and to answer your question, Mike, this decision to appeal, I think he wanted, kind of like the initial opinion, he wanted the onus to be on others. He didn't want to call it in the first decision. He's just like, hey, I'm gonna go half and half. And I pointed this out on Lead Stream, guys. A few days before Friday's decision was dropped, I think it was Wednesday, and I think we did that here on this channel. We talked about how 6 charges were dropped against some of the defendants. So that's how a lot of legal analysts were able to start predicting, we think that he's going to call it down the middle and he's not going to take a substantial side. He's going to give some people some things, one side some things, like Fani and team some things, and he's also going to give others some options as well, right? We're going to give some of the defendants, we're going to cut them some slack. I think one lucky defendant got he had 3 charges. He got 2 of them dismissed and only has 1 left, right? There's a lot of people that have also pled out. So Judge McAfee is trying to think of his future because remember, he is the same age as your girl, a cool 34, right? So he's also thinking about his longevity on the bench, how long he's going to be on the bench, because what if he gets voted out? And this would have been one of the last decisions that he's ruled on in his time in office. So excellent question, Mike. Thank you so much for your support. $100 is extremely generous. You don't have to give me anything, guys. No, you don't have to give me a penny. I really enjoy doing legal research and I really enjoy commentating on this stuff. So Mike, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I know we have a few more supers to get through, guys, but I don't want to keep you so far away from these documents, but I really wanted to shout out Mike. And if you guys haven't shouted out Mike, please do so now. With that being said, let's get to content because there's quite a bit to cover. The first thing that we want to look at is let's go to the motion that was filed on Monday. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's go to McAfee first because I didn't show you guys this yesterday. Let's go to Judge McAfee's certificate of immediate review. And I'll take you down for 1 second, Mike. Thanks again. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So here's the document that was filed yesterday by Judge McAfee. Yesterday, we read a BBC article, but today we're actually looking at the judge's ruling. It's only 2 pages. It's pretty brief. I would probably call this 1 page, but let's look at what he says, and then we'll go from there. So this is a certificate of immediate review. Upon the review, and I'll make myself smaller so you guys can follow along and read. Upon review of the defendant's joint motion for a certificate of immediate review, the court finds that the order on the defendant's motion to dismiss and disqualify the Fulton County District Attorney issued March 15th, 2024, and this is quoted, is of such importance to the case that immediate review should be had. Accordingly, the requested motion is granted. Okay, point for Judge McAfee. He's allowing this to go up on review to the Court of Appeals. That's the second court because we're starting in district court, right? It then goes up to the Court of Appeals. And then in some states, you can have like a Supreme Court, or like there's usually 3 levels. And then in some cases, it could go to the Supreme Court if there's a matter of a public question, or if the Court of Appeals still gives you an unsatisfactory answer. Okay, so that's where we are. It's moved up out of Judge McAfee at this point, and we will go to Steve Sadows and some of the other folks to see what their original motion said on Monday. Like, here's why we have a problem with this particular ruling that you had. And Judge McAfee is also covering his tracks because he needs to make sure that legally, he made a sound decision and that he followed the law. I think, in my opinion, that he feels as if he's done that. The appeal is going to argue otherwise. So that's why I want to take you guys back there after we finish up with this one, because this is a quick one. Let's keep going. So it says that the motion is granted. The challenged order is not one of final judgment, and the state has informed the court that it has complied with the order's demands. Thus, unless directed otherwise by an appellate court, supersedis shall only apply to the order being appealed. So what does that mean, guys? That means that this case is still going to continue on. We might see something mid-summer or the fall. We know that the election's in November, but this case is still going to continue on. Fani Willis and team have made remarks saying that they're going to try to push it forward as fast as possible. But there's a huge debate right now on whether, in the legal community, on whether this case is going to be done and dealt with before the election, but also after the election, if it could be pushed after the election. Let's say Donald Trump gets, he's back in office after the election, right? Gets sworn back in January. If he gets sworn back in, how reasonable is it to bring a sitting president back in court when he needs to run the country on a case like this? So when McAfee says that it requires immediate review, when Booth says that this case requires immediate review, and we look at the timeline here, it's important for us to look at how long this is going to take. It's a complex RICO case. It's not something that can be litigated in a month. It's not something that could be litigated in a few months. I posted something on my Instagram yesterday. Meanwhile, here in Fulton County, the Young Thug trial is still happening. That's a RICO case. Do you know that they announced yesterday that unless more witnesses are dropped from that case can continue on into 2027? That's one example. 2027. 2.5 years from now. It's a mess. And that's why these RICO cases, let's be honest, like we're all people here, they're annoying. They are annoying because if you're a defendant, you can't just litigate it by yourself. You're in this group of people that some want to plead out, some don't. Some have means, some of them have money to duke it out, some don't. One's a president. I mean, that's one scenario. Let's say he doesn't get reelected. Okay. Let's say Trump doesn't get reelected. We'll be fair here. If he doesn't get reelected, he'd still have to fight this out in court. But at the same time, the way that this is looking is that the judge admitted himself there was an appearance of impropriety. That's why Nathan, they gave them an opportunity, or not even gave them, they gave Fani an opportunity to choose. You go, you and your office go, or Nathan goes. That's the controversial decision that Judge McAfee had to come down to. And, you know, a lot of people have their opinions on it, but he made a choice. And I knew he had made that choice early on last week when some of those charges started to get dropped. And he was going around doing interviews. I think he did one radio interview and he had mentioned that he was on track to make the decision. That decision was made a while ago. I think it was a 9-page opinion. So it had at that point probably already been drafted and finalized before the public knew. And it was released first thing Friday morning. So interesting stuff. Let's continue on. Okay, it looks like he's citing a case here. He's saying C. Sanders v. State. It looks like that's a 2022 case, and Stiles v. State, which is a 2000 case. Looks like it was overruled on other grounds. And here's the quote from one of those cases. It says, "A trial court's hands are not tied as to other matters not affecting those issues on appeal during the pendency of such appeal." So again, what all that means, guys, is the case is still going to move forward. You know, Boots and team have an issue with some of the things that were mentioned in the judge's ruling. So those issues are going up on appeal. The entire case is not going up on appeal. Those issues raised are going up on appeal. That's what he's clarifying here. The court intends to continue addressing the many other unrelated pending pretrial motions, because there's still some we don't have answers on, guys, regardless of whether the petition is granted within the 40 days of filing, and even if any subsequent appeal is expedited by the appellate court. It is so ordered this 20th day of March 2024. That was yesterday. Okay, so that is where we are as far as where McAfee is. He's like, okay, you guys want to challenge my ruling? Totally fine. Take it up to the Court of Appeals. But as far as this case, it's not over. It's not done. We are going to continue litigating, and we're going to continue looking at the other issues because he wants to move on. There's a lot of other pretrial motions that have not even been ruled upon yet. That one that we saw on Friday was simply deciding if Fani was going to be taken off the case. That was that one motion. We still haven't heard about the Cell Hawk debacle and if that's coming in, because, you know, we found that data. Boots and team put that data in. They, you know, did it by affidavit. And what did Fani do? She came back and said, it's not reliable. We can't use it. He's not an expert. There's still not a decision on whether we can even bring that Cell Hawk data in. There's other motions. You know, when you have this many defendants, he's got a pile of paperwork. The judge has got a pile of paperwork that he needs to process and make decisions on. This is going to be a hell of a year. I hope you guys are strapped in, because the saga continues, right? But I know, like, sometimes you don't see as much of this in the news. I mean, it's hard because, like, almost every day you've seen a ton of it. It's like that's your phone. It's like Lead is live, AV is live, Viva's live, Professor Nez is live, everybody's live. You want to watch it. Robert's live. Robert G. Shout out to him. Megyn Kelly's live. That's just in one day. So, we're all kind of watching this because in the interest of justice, if you allow one person to get away with something, including, DAs in positions of power, what are we saying to the American public? That is why all eyes are on this case. And shout out to so many of you that are across the pond. I discovered a huge UK population yesterday, but around the world. I think somebody checked in from Germany. There's a few people watching this across the globe. You're all interested, right? So that was Judge McAfee's acceptance of this issue on appeal. What was he accepting? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us now go back to Monday's joint motion. Okay, here's where we are. And I also just want you to realize not every defendant in the group joined in on this joint motion. Who do we have? We have President Trump. We've got Rudy Giuliani. We've got Mark Meadows. You got Robert Chile. You got Michael Roman. You got Dave Schaefer. You have Harrison Floyd and Kathleen Latham. Okay, so what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 of the defendants filed this joint motion for a certificate of immediate review, which was granted. Let us see exactly what their argument stated. There's 9 key points here. Lead and I already covered this, so I'm going to just briefly skim through the arguments again and point out the highlights so that way you can see exactly what is going up on appeal. So we have everybody here that's saying that they want to file this joint motion for an immediate review and requested the court grant it, right? Because they wanted to disqualify Fani, and that was issued on March 15th, so on Friday. They disagreed with the judge's reasoning there, so this document is coming as a result of that. Okay, so the order to disqualify Fani is huge. It's a big part of this case. And they classify it as being exceptionally great importance to this case. And it impacts the defendant's rights to due process. Everyone in the United States has a right to due process. That is in the Constitution. It's also in the Georgia state constitution, right? So that's why they're starting this document with saying, this is too important to wait, right? Usually, and shout out to Lead, he had explained this very well. Usually cases go up on appeal when the case concludes and a decision has been rendered by a judge and the case is completed. A jury's come back with a decision or a judge has made a decision to conclude the case. This appeal, the defendants believe, is so important, it cannot wait to the conclusion. We need to get Fani off now. Now, not later, now. That's what these 8 defendants are saying. And they're saying, McAfee, you didn't take her off? No. We need to talk to someone about that, to review that, to make sure that you made a legally sound decision when it came to that, okay? Additionally, given the lack of guidance from the appellate courts on key issues and the fact that any errors on the March 15th order could be structural errors that would necessitate retrials, the grant of certificate of immediate review is both prudent and warranted. So they're saying it's the right thing to do. And based off of these reasons, we need to do it now. In its order, the court found that DA Willis had created an appearance of impropriety, and you guys talked about this for a shirt, an odor of mendacity that lingers in this case, as well as the continuing possibility that an outsider could reasonably think that DA Willis is not exercising her independent professional judgment, totally free of comprising influences, okay? So that's why they want to bring it. Despite this, the court declined to disqualify DA Willis, finding that eliminating, and let me just zoom in a little bit so you guys can see that better, finding that eliminating only the special, just eliminating Nathan would cure the lingering appearance of impropriety. The defendants here are saying, Judge McAfee, that's not enough. Just taking Nathan off is not enough. We wanted her. The motion to disqualify was filed to disqualify her, not just Nathan. Great. We took Nathan off. Wonderful. But we still need to talk about Fani. We haven't come to a conclusion there because she's still on the case. Defendants believe that the relevant case law requires dismissal of the case. They want the case gone, not just Fani. They want the entire case gone. Or at the very least, disqualify Fani and her entire office under the facts that exist here. And in addition to that, the resignation of Mr. Wade is insufficient to cure the appearance of impropriety the court has determined exists. What does that mean? Judge McAfee, you admitted that there's an appearance of impropriety here. But taking Nathan off is not enough. It's not enough. We need to see more. It doesn't cure the issue. The issue is that there is an appearance of impropriety, but it's not just Nathan himself. It's Fani's office as well. We showed you all those text messages between Ashley and Terrence. We showed you the cell hot data. We just showed you so much. Given the facts and the current state of case law, the Court of Appeals should speak definitively to this outcome determinative issue now, not later, now. Judge McAfee, you don't want to make a decision. Court of Appeals, you need to make a decision. The court also found that Fani her nationally televised speech at Big Bethel AME on January 14th was legally improper, but declined to disqualify her on the basis of this forensic misconduct, noting in particular a lack of guidance in a Georgia case law for the standard for disqualification of a prosecuting attorney for forensic misconduct. So that's another thing that we saw in Judge McAfee's decision. He's like, well, this has never been done here before. And it's just like, okay, but you still need to make a choice to make it precedent for the future. You have to make a choice. Are we going to make a choice to not be hard on something? Are we going to be moderate, or are we going to keep it light? This has never been done before, but there's forensic misconduct here. What are you talking about, Scotty? I don't want to call him that. What are we talking about, Judge McAfee? Okay, so they talk about some cases here. I'm not going to go too far into that, but one that they really highlight is the Williams case. So they're talking about the holding, which means the decision in that one. They say that based on the holding in Williams and the other persuasive authorities from the U.S. Supreme Court and other jurisdictions cited to the court on forensic misconduct, however, it is likely that the Georgia appellate courts would decide that DA Willis's forensic misconduct requires disqualification in this case. At minimum, the least you could give us, the very least, the factual findings of the court and the lack of appellate guidance from the Georgia courts on the issue weigh heavily in favor of immediate appellate review, especially, and they put that in italics, given that the failure to disqualify a prosecutor or who should be disqualified is a structural error that would necessitate a retrial without any additional showing of prejudice. Lead and I covered this. We were talking about this is already going to take forever. It's going to take forever. Look at the other RICO case, 2027. Imagine, let's just hypothetically, let's take you guys to the Socratic method in law school. Hypothetically, let's say this case goes on into 2027 or 2028, right? It's a lot of taxpayer dollars. I live here. It's coming out of my paychecks. I live here. Are we going to subject the citizens of Fulton County and the citizens of the state of Georgia to go on a wild goose chase? This is my opinion. Take it if you want. But as a taxpayer, this is really important. Are we going to pay for all of that until 2028? And then when the case concludes in 2028, and there's a possibility of retrial, you want to make us pay for it again? And let's say that's still RICO in another 2 years, 2030. What year is it? 2024. I don't know what's happening here. These things are so crazy. Anyway, seeking clear direction from the appellate courts on the critical issues at this pretrial juncture is a compelling and immediate interest. Immediate appellate review is also needed of the March 15th order declining to disqualify Fani based on the personal stake that she has acquired in this prosecution. Boots and team are saying it right here. She has a personal stake that she has acquired in this prosecution. She's devoted to the result. Both in actual conflicts of interest and the appearance of impropriety created by her actions. Specifically, the Georgia appellate courts, in applying their relevant precedent, including the McLaughlin case, would likely determine that disqualification of Fani is required when she has acquired a personal stake in the prosecution by either laboring under an actual conflict of interest, including non-monetary actual conflicts, right? Or by creating the appearance of impropriety that this court has already determined that she has created and remains here. Okay, to conclude, they say a criminal defendant is entitled to a disinterested prosecutor. And dear viewer, you are entitled to that. I am entitled to it. We want our prosecutors to be fair. Doesn't matter what crime you committed. We just want our prosecutors to be fair. They quote the Young case here, which says, if the assigned prosecutor has acquired a personal interest or a stake in the conviction, the trial court abuses its discretion in denying a motion to disqualify her. They're quoting a 1987 case there. What does that mean? In 1987, a court was found to have abused its discretion by not getting a prosecutor off because that prosecutor had a personal interest, or, so either or, it doesn't have to be both, a stake in the conviction. We know Fani wants to nail these people to the wall. And I can remind you of that with a quote while she was on the stand. Ask simple questions. Fani, I forget what the question was. The response was, I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election. You're in the witness box. You're on the stand. We're not asking you about the other people. She told on herself right there. The plot thickens. Back to the document. Certificates of immediate review have been granted by courts under similar circumstances. So now here's a GA case here. So in Georgia, they quote another one where it comes from the Georgia Court of Appeals in State v. Cook. There's another one, State v. Mantooth. I'm not going to go through all of that with you. Whether Fani and her office are permitted to continue representing the state in Georgia and prosecuting the defendants in this action is of the utmost importance to this case, and ensuring that the appellate courts have the opportunity to weigh in on these matters pre-trial is paramount. That's actually a good point. Before we go to the trial, we're not even at trial yet. We want the Court of Appeals to weigh in on this before we go, because we might not even need to go, right? As noted, should such review not occur until after any trial in this case and the decisions were ultimately reversed on appeal, such reversal would likely require the retrial of every convicted defendant without additional showing of error or prejudice, which would be a shit show. You would have to go back to court all over again for all 20 of these people individually outside of RICO. Crazy. Given the length and complexity of this trial, of the trials in this case, right? should the current indictment survive such any such trials are possible. Neither the court nor the parties should run any unnecessary risk of having to go through that process more than once. That's right. Why would you do it again? For all of these reasons, defendants Trump, Giuliani, Meadows, Chile, Roman, Schaefer, Floyd, Leatham respectfully request that the court grant the defendant's joint motion for a certificate of immediate review and issue a certificate of immediate review on the court's order on the defendant's motion to dismiss and disqualify the Fulton County District Attorney. That was granted. Shout out to Steve Sadow. Shout out to Boots. Shout out to Jen Little. Shout out to Alan Stockton. Shout out to Esposito, John Esposito, the attorneys for Giuliani. There's a lot of lawyers involved in this. There's a ton. Mr. Rice, Ashley Merchant's in there, Craig Gillen, Holly Pearson. Wow, look at how many attorneys. The last 4 pages are like literally just filled with attorney names. So what do you guys think? Now that this is going to the Court of Appeals, what do you think the Court of Appeals is going to do? Put a 1 in the chat if you think the Court of Appeals is going to get her off, her and her office off, or put a 2 in the chat if you think that they will allow her to stay on. And check this out. Here's the catch. If you pick 2, I want you to write why you think that they would allow her to stay on. With that being said, I'm going to catch up on some super chats really quickly. So we'll take a brief super chat break. And then we're going to come back to the second part of this stream, guys, because it came up a little bit and I've been seeing it on my feed. And I don't think it's really getting the justice it deserves. We're going to go back to the document where, and I hate to talk about it, but Nathan's off the case now. I really want to go back to the document where Fani kind of attacked Jocelyn Wade. I did not think that that was okay. After hearing a little bit more from Jocelyn's attorney, that was totally not cool. But we're going to look at that document from a standpoint of just critical thinking, because there were some slights in there that I'll let you see for yourself. You come up with your own opinion, but oh my goodness, we're going to go back to that because that was insane. Shout out to Erie. Thank you so much. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Erie says, you are doing amazing. Thank you for your time. Erie, thank you. Thank you for being here. You don't have to be here. You can be anywhere, right? You can be anywhere on earth today. But the fact that you're hanging out with me is amazing. So thank you so much for being here. Shout out to Tiffany, who became a new member. Tiffany, like I said, membership has its privileges. I usually let you guys know when we're going live with the topic is a few hours beforehand. So you will know that. Welcome to the inner circle. You'll know a lot more about that. Shout out again to Mike, who is the stream sponsor. And you know what, Mike, I didn't put you in the banner, but I am going to do that now as this just reminded me. Shout out again to Mike. This is amazing. Thank you so much for being here and sponsoring, like being one of the sponsors of this series. We've been working really hard. I was just texting my editor. We had something for you guys today. I will try to release it tonight. If not, it will be tomorrow morning, but it is a breakdown of the Georgia bar complaint against Fani, because Lee and I did like 4 or 5 hours on that, but I'd like to give you guys the short synopsis versions. So we will be recapping that. So Mike in Tennessee. And Mike, how's the weather out there in Tennessee? What's it like today? Let us know. Let us know. Thank you so much, Mike. All right, going back here. We are going back to supers. Shout out to Kurt, who says no join button today. There's no join button today? Let me look at it from my side. I see a join button. I see a join button. I'm looking at it. It says join, analytics, edit video. I mean, that's what I see from the creator standpoint, but there's a join button. Join if you can. I would love to have you. Shout out to Cognizance from Canada. She sends the Canadian buck. She sends $20 and she says AV7 bless. Thank you so much, Coggy. I hope you're doing well and it's warm over there today. How's the weather in Canada? Let me know. Let me know. Always good to see you. Long-time supporter of mine, guys. I know a lot of you guys are just finding me now, but Cognizance she's one of my day ones. Like since I started struggle streaming and figuring out how to do all of this and this monitor and that monitor and those lights, that light, that light, that light, like all of this stuff. Cognizance has been here with me throughout it all. So I so appreciate you. She's one of my day ones. Shout out to Grover Reese, Pantene in the house. He sends $4.99. That's right. Grover is a content creator. He is over at the Tip Network. They do a lot of men-centric content over there. Also a dear friend of mine. Really, really happy that you stopped by. And thank you so much for blessing the channel. If any of the mods are around, if you could look up the Tip Network, THPP Network, and drop their link in the chat, that would be fantastic. Shout out to Sherry, who says, really enjoyed the content. Sherry, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy it. I'm really glad that you have a good time when you come here. Shout out to Dark Power with $5. No comment, no question. Pure love of the game. Thank you so much, Dark Power. I like your name. We have the power in common. We have the power in common. Shout out to El Becky, who sends $5. Really appreciate that. Thank you, El Becky. Shout out to Brahman, who says, it is obvious to us it was a booty call. But in my opinion, Judge didn't go all the way based on Wade just being in a cell tower bubble near her home. A pic or video of Wade, there is he needed to go hard. I mean, yeah, because I think what you're saying here, Brahman, is you're looking for more concrete evidence. And sometimes we could talk about that being circumstantial. I think Ashley Merchant made a really good comment, and a few other attorneys have been making this comment. It was in the bar complaint. That's where it came from, actually. I showed you guys Cellhawk. Actually, no, I talked about it. Let's go to cellhawk.com right now. Let's look at the Cellhawk website. The person that filed the bar complaint actually did their homework, right? What is it? Hawks Analytics. Hawks Consulting. I don't know if this is right. I don't want to give you guys inaccurate information, so I'm not going to pull it up. But back to the point. Cellhawk had testimonials that he included in the bar complaint, but one of the most damning things that he included in that bar complaint was the fact that the Department of Justice used Cellhawk during January 6th to lock up all those people that were involved in the riot. So if you use it, and Fani is also saying it's not accurate, but she's used it to convict people. I mean, there's an argument of that as well. Is it precise enough? But the other big thing that Ashley Merchant mentioned that I think kind of combats that argument is they were not able to have access to Fani's phone. Can you imagine, Brahman, if we had Nathan's phone data, but you also had Fani's phone data? And remember, it was like 2-3 weeks ago. I thought it's not funny, but I thought it was crazy that it was included in the court document. There was a point where Fani was just like, and it was in all caps in her document as a response to why this information should not be entered into court or the Cellhawk data shouldn't be admitted. Like, oh, the expert's not an expert, all that. She also said that she was at a mass murder scene on one of those nights and wasn't home. That's what she said in the court document. I kid you not. It says it right in there. So they're like, hey, we should be allowed to use this. It's used to be able to impeach that, what you're saying is being used, is being offered to prove that you lied. We don't have access to your phone, but we have this. We don't have access to your phone because you're a DA. And there's certain rights that are protected. Your privacy is protected. But at the same time, if you didn't do anything, just give us the data. Just say, here it is. I don't have anything to hide. Here you go. Clear my name. I think a lot of other reasonable DAs would have done that. So quick sidebar, Brahman, but thank you so much. Shout out to Rhodes, German Shepherds. Do you breed German Shepherds? He says, blessing AV, you are amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate the $20 Super chat. You guys are helping my channel grow. You really are. You really, really are. And we appreciate it. Again, you guys don't have to give us a single red cent. Okay. But this makes this process a little bit more enjoyable. I enjoy being on YouTube nonetheless, but being able to like do something that I love and like use my degree to its advantage and not have to go to court. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. So Rhodes, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And Rhodes, wow, you're back with another 50. Wow. He says for AV, we made a funny YouTube vid on Fanny Cash. Did you really? So Rhodes, do you have a YouTube channel? Let me know because maybe we can shout it out here and get more people to follow you. But you made a funny video on Fanny Cash. Yeah, that's the other thing, guys. I actually went to the ATM today because a friend of mine needed me to do something. And I had to withdraw cash for the first time. It was the first time I had withdrawn cash in like 6 months. I'm not a cash holder. Maybe a lot of you are. And here's the other thing. I think men tend to hold cash or at least have it on hand at times more than women do. Like I can't remember that. I'm also a millennial. I come from a different time. I like to tap my card. I don't put it in the machine anymore. It's like, boop, boop. Can I pay you with my phone? I like to make it as simple as possible. Right. But I'd love to see that video, Rose. If you can get it to me, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, my team has been editing and doing their thing. And that's the number one thing that always comes up is like paying Nathan back in cash. It's freaking untraceable. But is that common? Some of you guys say yes. The comment about it being a black thing is yes. And some comments are it's not even a color thing. Some people do keep cash in the mattress or in a shoebox. I don't, but it could be a thing. So thank you so much, Rhodes. That's $70 so far. Super generous of you. Thank you a ton. Thank you for that. Shout out to Dear Woke Christian, who says supporting great content. Thanks for addressing this content, AV. Anytime, guys. I like to think critically about this stuff and, really think about how I'm going to not craft the narrative, but at least tell you the story in a compelling way. But it also allows you the choice to come up with your own conclusions based off of what you're seeing. That's it. You come up with your own choice. So we can go from there. Shout out to Drew Beats, who says, does this really matter if Trump wins the election? Wade's wife is going to get half of that $700K. And where was the $700K? You're gonna get me started, Drew. I can't wait to go over that document with you guys again. I thought about how to present it beautifully. I can't wait. So we're gonna get to that in a second, Drew. Thank you again. Truist, shout out to Truist. Shout out to your sister Kina as well. I hope she's doing good. Truist says, yes, I want to know more about what this black woman, Fanny, supposedly did to her fellow sister. I also want to know if the black churches in Georgia believe that Jesus condones any of this supposed behavior from Sister Fanny. You're getting me there. You and Drew are getting me there, Truist, because that's the thing. I'm going to talk to you guys about this from my opinion. I'm going to step out of the legal lens from a second. It's still going to stay there. But everybody is making this about race and gender, meaning black women, black men, women, men. I'm actually really happy at the growth of my channel because there have been a lot more women finding me. And I find that me and these women kind of think alike. Right? Okay, true. So we're just going to go in. I know there's a few more supers here, guys, but I think let's talk about this. So one of the things, I've never been married. Some of you guys are married. Some of you guys have been in long-term relationships. Cheating is never fun on either side. Whether you're a man that discovers that your partner is cheating, whether you're a woman that discovers your partner is cheating. It's never a fun experience. Us as humans, when it comes to romantic relationships, we are emotionally invested in the partners that we pick. When it comes to cheating, there's typically a few phases that you go through as either being the person that cheated or the person that has been cheated on. There's an emotional component, there's a betrayal component, and then, there's also the other party that was involved, the third party. You think about that sort of stuff. With Fani, she is in I was going to draw this out for you guys with stick figures when I thought about it this morning, because like people are just like, Fani is being attacked. I saw this on MSNBC, CNN, all over the internet, some of these churches, that Fani is being attacked. Her personal life shouldn't be involved in this because she's a Black woman. Okay. If we change the color and make her Asian, if we change the color and made her white, if we change the color and made her, maybe Middle Eastern, maybe Hispanic, it doesn't matter what color you are. Cheating is one of the probably oldest, I don't want to use the word sin because I don't want to make it religious. It was a crime back in the day. Adultery is a crime. It's one of the oldest crimes in human history, right? It's one of the oldest crimes. And to be an agent of justice, and particularly a prosecutor, where you try people for committing crimes, it does not matter what color you are. An agent of justice should truly be that agent of justice. Socratic method. Let's do this. Let's change Fani's gender. Let's make Fani an Asian man. Let's call him Jimmy Choo. I don't know. I like shoes. Let's call him Jimmy Choo. If Jimmy were to have an affair and hire his subordinate, not even subordinate, hire his girlfriend who is not a subordinate but a contractor, people would look at Jimmy in a similar light. Hey, Jimmy, what's up with this? It's not normal. Jimmy, why is the girl here? Jimmy, don't you have a wife at home? Jimmy, what are you doing? Or let's say it's the woman. Let's make it almost similar, but we're changing races and gender. You have Jimmy Choo, DA. You have his girlfriend. Let's give her a name. Let's call her Mary. And then Jimmy's wife is out here. And Jimmy's wife, I don't know. Let's call her Joanna. Jimmy, Mary, Joanna. Joanna is probably aware of this relationship. But Joanna and Jimmy haven't been on good terms. Joanna wants to leave the relationship. She has settled with the fact that a divorce has been filed, right? I don't know if I'm saying that right, because it would need to be a man. It would need to be a man, a woman, and a man. Sorry, we need to make this third person a man. Joanna's husband. Okay, Joanna's husband is at home. He's a stay-at-home dad. Let's give him a different name. I don't know. Let's just call him Joanna's husband. Joanna's husband is a stay-at-home dad. Finds out that Joanna gets this job with Jimmy. And they're traveling all over the world doing all this stuff. Okay. Joanna's husband realizes that she's going to file for divorce. She files for divorce. Second day she gets hired, right? Weird. But not only do you file for divorce, so your spouse has to eternalize that. They have to deal with that. But if they're trying to get out of the marriage with you and they're contributing to the divorce, and then a document is filed by Jimmy Choo that says this: it is an emergency motion to block you from saying anything. You're trying to get out of the damn marriage that you didn't even want to end. You're trying to get out of it. But we're going to look at this one more time because I can't, controversial, personal opinion, not legal. This is you guys getting to know me too. People are going to hate me in the comments. I cannot condone women that participate in affairs. I refuse to do it because as a woman, and if like a girl that's doing it, that could be you. It does not feel good. That could always be you. And on the other side, If you're a guy and your wife does something like this, you think about the other guy, like, you think of the guy like, man, this could be you. You could be in my shoes. But the most important underlying factor is these people are agents of justice. Let's review this one more time for the cheap seats in the back so we know the issues in this document. 13 pages. This is the case. Nathan Wade, Jocelyn Wade. Nathan Wade, plaintiff, meaning person suing his spouse for divorce. Jocelyn Wade, defendant, person receiving the fact that they are being divorced. Emergency motion by non-party defendant for a protective order. What is a non-party? Oh, deponent. Sorry, I said defendant. Deponent. This document was filed because Jocelyn Wade's attorneys wanted to depose Fani. What's a deposition? It's kind of like an interview. It's kind of an opportunity for the other side to ask you questions and receive answers to those questions. Some of these processes can be fairly simple. It could be a simple deposition where you have 50 questions. Sometimes it can go longer to maybe 100 questions, range from a few hours. Remember that Fani Willis is also an attorney that has held depositions in her own office and throughout her career. She knows what this is, right? This is a protective order to allow her to not answer the questions, right? So we talk about, her being attacked because she's a Black woman. Jocelyn Wade's also a Black woman. Keep that in mind. Comes now, Fani T. Willis, non-party deponent in the above styled action and hereby moves this court for a protective order. Okay, she cites the statutes that allow her to do that. Because justice so requires. That's the reason. I want an order because justice requires. That is why I wanted to start you guys off with knowing that these people are agents of justice in this state. Defendant Jocelyn Wade seeks to conduct a deposition of Willis on January 23rd. Let's go back up because this was filed on the 18th. They scheduled a deposition on the 23rd, a week before this document was filed, okay? In support of non-party deponent's emergency motion for protective order, non-party deponent shows this court the following. Here are the facts. Fani is the elected district attorney of the Atlanta Judicial Circuit. Fani was elected as DA on November of 2020 and began serving in this capacity on January 1st. The Office of Fulton County DAs executed a contract with Nathan Wade, which is the legal entity that employs the plaintiff. So the contract was Nathan J. Wade PC, that's the name of his business, and the business employed Nathan himself. This contract was executed in compliance with state and local rules and regulations. The contract commenced in November of 2021. That's when it started, okay? That's when he started working. As part of the contract, Nathan Wade worked as a special prosecutor on the case, charged under indictment concerning the former president of the United States and all other alleged co-conspirators. Okay, so those are the facts that Fani's team put together. So far, so good, no problems. On January 8th, defendant Jocelyn Wade, through her attorneys, Andrea Hastings, attempted to serve Fani Willis with a notice of deposition. Jocelyn Wade is a defendant wife in the above titled domestic case involving Fulton County Special Prosecutor Nathan J. Wade. The subpoena was presented to an employee at the office of the Fulton County District Attorney. Contemporaneously, Michael Roman, so this is her argument right here. You can already start to see where this is going off the freaking rails. This motion, what did she say at the top? I need a protective order against being deposed. These paragraphs are now focusing on the date of January 8th. Why? Because January 8th is probably I said this on Lead Stream, one of the first business day following the holidays, following Christmas, following New Year's. We do it in banking. People take vacation. They take PTO. They're not usually back the first week of January. People are usually back the following week, that Monday. Let me just check for accuracy. Let me make sure I'm not misleading you guys. Yes, January 8th was the second Monday in 2024. January 1st was the first Monday of 2024. That was not a business day. It was a federal holiday. Do you think everybody's going to be back in the office on January 2nd? No, I bet your ass they were back on January 8th. So you could call it a coincidence that this document was filed on January 8th. But at the same time, Michael Roman filed his on January 8th as well. She's trying to say that it was a concerted effort. I look at it as if we were to pull, this is sometimes I need to take the lawyer hat off, and I haven't taken the bar exam yet. If we were to pull document volume in 2023 and 2022 and 2021, I would want to see the last 3 years of how many documents were filed in every single court in Georgia, just by number on the first business day, the first Monday business day that did not have a holiday included on that Monday. And I bet you those numbers would be high compared to other business days throughout the year. Do you see how, if you think critically, this motion is about you answering questions because your boyfriend filed for divorce the day after you hired him? We are going now into, isn't it a coincidence? Anyway, let us continue. Contemporaneously on January 8th, Michael Roman, who is a defendant in the election interference case, through his attorney, Ashley Merchant, filed a motion to unseal the above-styled divorce matter. Additionally, on January 8th, see, we got a third thing on January 8th, the same date of the deposition notice to the non-party deponent, Michael Roman, to the defendant in the election interference case, filed a motion to disqualify the DA from her office and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade from further prosecuting the election interference case, alleging a conflict of interest among the lawyers prosecuting on behalf of Fulton County. We're going to go into her argument, but look at that. She is saying that there's a coincidence here. You know, Ashley's filing this thing on January 8th, first business day, right? She even put the timestamps in there. It says 4:42. The other ones don't. So look at this one. This one has a timestamp too. It's just like, hey, Jocelyn, you filed this at noon. This one does not have a timestamp. This one says 4:42. Think for yourself. Think critically. I'm just showing it to you. I'm just a concerned citizen. I'm just showing it to you. Let's talk about her argument. The argument here, right? It looks like there's one. There is, I'm counting them first. That's her first argument, pretty long. There's two. There's three. There's four. Okay, so Fani has four key arguments. Let's dissect each one. The first one, a protective order should issue and the subpoena for the deposition of Fani should be quashed, as the deposition is not reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of relevant or admissible evidence. Remember, this was filed on January 18th, and a lot came out in this court proceeding in February. She didn't want it to come out. Protective orders for certain high-ranking members of a government body or public or private entity provides a good cause for a protective order to prohibit the deposition of an officer may be shown by proof that such person is an officer and lacks unique personal knowledge of any matter is relevant to the subject matter involved in pending action. There can be no serious dispute that Fani is an officer as defined by the statute, given in her position as a Fulton County DA, with authority over criminal prosecutions for the entire Atlanta Judicial District. She is a high-ranking officer of a government entity and has extensive scheduling demands and responsibilities. I'll give her that. Absolutely. You are busy. You have an important job. All good. More importantly, Fani lacks unique personal knowledge of any matter that is relevant to the subject matter involved in the pending action. Let me say that to you guys again, right here on paper. DA Willis lacks unique personal knowledge of any matter that is relevant to the subject matter involved in the pending action. Jocelyn's trying to get divorced from Nathan. Nathan filed it. She's trying to get divorced. This document that Fani's team put together says that she lacks any personal knowledge connected to this divorce proceeding. Just go back. Defendant Jocelyn Wade has not alleged otherwise. Indeed, the deposition of District Attorney Fani Willis cannot provide unique personal knowledge of any matter that is relevant to Nathan Wade's divorce, because the information and belief the plaintiff filed for divorce on November 2nd on the grounds that the marriage was irretrievably broken. And on November 30th, the defendant answered and agreed the marriage was irretrievably broken. By definition, as reasoned by the Supreme Court, I'm not going to define what that means for you guys. Examination of the docket reveals that for the 26 months prior to attempting to serve this non-party witness subpoena for a deposition, the parties have not amended their pleadings. Thus, they each separately allege and maintain that their marriage was and remains irretrievably broken. That is already a fallacy. How did you know that? How did you have no knowledge? How did you know that both of these parties individually stated that their marriage was irretrievably broken? So you have to assume that was there any public record from Jocelyn Wade, who's not a public official. She doesn't have a high-ranking position. She's a homemaker. Did she go and publish something somewhere? Did she go and work with a magazine or something? Is that published somewhere? How did you know that? But you're also supposed to not know that there are any material facts. Oh my God. It is well established that when both parties in a divorce proceeding assert that their marriage is irretrievably broken, which is a legal conclusion signifying that there was no hope for reconciliation, there is no genuine issue of fact that remains to be decided concerning the divorce. She cites a Freeman case, not going into Freeman. On information and belief, plaintiff and defendant do not live together. Isn't that a material fact? And the defendant has lived outside of the state of Georgia, separate and apart from the plaintiff since 2021. Isn't that a material fact? Thus, there is no prospect of reconciliation and genuine issue of material fact and need of resolution. Defendant Jocelyn Wade has not alleged otherwise. In fact, defendant had not made a specific request of information from DA Willis. If, however, media reports are any indication, the defendant may intend to ask questions regarding the nature of any relationship with the plaintiff. Because the parties agree that the marriage is irretrievably broken and the concept of fault is not at issue, then there is no information that Fani could provide that might prove relevant to granting or denying the divorce. Person that your spouse stepped out with is saying, hey, I can't help you. There's no information that I can give that's relevant to this, whether the divorce happens, whether the divorce doesn't happen. I can't help you. I'm too busy. Figure it out. Figure it out. Oh. Okay, let's keep going. This is getting me hot. We're going to skip all this case law here. As a result, the sought after deposition in this case is outside the scope of pending divorce action and outside the scope of discovery. On information and belief, defendant is using discovery as a vehicle to harass Fani. She's trying to get out of the divorce clean. She's trying to figure out where Nathan's money's at because she needs health care that she can't afford to pay for it by herself because she's a homemaker. But like in any legal process, depositions are normal. Questions are normal. You are not a party in the divorce, but it's crazy to me that weeks later you were on the stand and admitted to the affair. Joycelyn didn't even know about all this money that was out there. She's finding it out by what's on the news. Any other prudent attorney is gonna, like, if it's on the, what do you want us to do? What do you want people to do? Oh, okay, but it's designed to harass. The sought after deposition of DA Willis is not relevant to the subject matter involved in the pending action and should not be permitted. For those reasons, there's good cause for a protective order. Okay, that's just argument 1 out of 4. 2 out of 4 says Joyce Wade's failure to identify a relevant purpose for this deposition suggests that it is intended to harass. So we get more into the harassment. Upon information and belief as early as 2017, prior to Nathan Wade ever meeting Fani, the parties to the above style divorce agreed that their marriage was broken. After, this is where I have a problem. I'm going to read this slowly. As early as 2017, before Nathan met Fani, Fani writes, the parties in this divorce agreed that their marriage was broken after the defendant, Joycelyn Wade, confessed to an adulterous relationship with the plaintiff's longtime friend. What does this heading say? That Joycelyn's looking for information to get divorced in a divorce that she didn't file because she wants to harass you because she stepped out on Nathan? Fani didn't have to put this here. She didn't have to put it here. She did not need to put this here. She does have to tell the court, hey, I believe I'm being harassed. She has to tell them why. Joycelyn's a black woman. Fani's a black woman. The defendant, Joycelyn Wade's adultery precluded any chance of reconciliation. To protect the interests of both parties, plaintiff and defendant agreed to seal the records of their divorce case. However, the parties delayed the filing for their benefit of their children, specifically to allow the children to reach age of majority. Joycelyn Wade has not objected to Michael Roman's motion to unseal the proceedings despite having previously sought it and having benefited from its protection for more than 2 years. For further information and belief, the subpoena for the deposition of Fani is being sought as an attempt to harass and damage her professional reputation. It is also being sought in an unreasonable manner to annoy, embarrass, and oppress Fani. Joycelyn Wade, trying to get out of her marriage, is asking you to answer questions to annoy, embarrass, and oppress Fani. On further information and belief, defendant Joycelyn Wade has conspired. She's conspired with interested parties in the criminal election interference case to use civil discovery process to annoy, embarrass, and oppress Fani. In support of this contention, she has some subpoints here. She's saying that there's a defective subpoena, right? I can't even read it anymore, guys. I'm sorry. I let's take a super chat break. I can't read it. There's another part. I just need to take a break. There, shout out to Spears who says, great work, loving this community. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it and all the shenanigans we have to read. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Rhodes, thank you, Rhodes. Oh my gosh. I think Rhodes, you might actually be the stream sponsor now. It's good to hear that you guys have a channel. And thank you for dropping your link. I'm going to go ahead and update the banner because I believe you guys are the stream sponsors at around, I'm just going to add you with Mike from Tennessee because he is a real one, but I'm adding Rhodes German Shepherds. I hope that's not like a offensive name or anything, but thank you so much. He says we put the link in the chat. Funny, thank you. Rhodes has also become a new member. Thank you so much. Shout out to Charles who sends $10. No comment, no question. Pure love of the game. Thank you so much, Charles. I appreciate that. Alphonse has become a new member. Thank you so much, Alphonse. Welcome to the community. It's good to have you here. Shout out to Incognito Beefly, who drops $4.99 and says, I find it problematic that I've heard people are hesitant to speak out on this because Fani is so powerful. She is a disgrace. Incognito, you know what's so funny? Yesterday we were here in this chat. I was just literally looking at legal documents. Someone said I was a disgrace because I spoke up about it because I was looking at facts. I mean, what can you do? What can you do? I mean, there are a lot of people that are hesitant to speak out on this sort of thing. It can be crazy. You know, I think about my safety being a resident in Fulton County, but at the same time, we have to call out when things are just not okay, right? And it's just not cool. It's just not cool. Shout out to Pantene Pro V, who sends $10. Pantene says, it's not over till the Pantene Queen sings. Fanny, you aren't getting away yet. Shout outs to the women, especially the white women in the chat. I'm so done with Pantene Pro V. This is an inside joke from the lead attorney's side, guys, but it is just interesting. The Pantene Pro V has landed in my side. Lots of fun. Love the trolls that we have in our community. This is one of them. I thought about you, Pantene, because we're thinking about a merch collection for the men. And we were thinking about Terrence Bradley, and Pantene came up. So shout out to you. I hope you are doing well. Shout out to Dinara, who says Fanny is getting the death of 1,000 cuts. Number 1, make her fire her boy toy. Number 2, granting the appeal. Number 3, removing from the case. Number 4, federal charges. I mean, there's a lot here. You know, again, I'm showing you guys a legal document. I am providing a little bit more of like my personal opinion. I just didn't think it was okay to put that in there. You know, like even if you are dealing with someone that is your boyfriend and he's married, like let these people get divorced. Just let them get divorced. Why do we need to like throw power around? Like, I ain't got time. Like, you don't need to ask me questions. There's no relevant questions. You cheated on your husband. That's why your marriage is irretrievably broken. It's just like, geez, let's just have a nice, clean, legal divorce. Don't need the theatrics. Do not need them. So Dionara, I hope I'm saying that right. I always feel like I butcher your name. There's a lot here. Shout out to Audrey at $4.99. Thank you so much, sis. I hope you are doing well. And then lastly, shout out to Perspective 11, who says, will the appeal go to a red court or a blue court? That's a good question. That's a really good question. It shouldn't even matter if it's red or blue, because that was more on the district level. You know, there were some counties that were red, some counties that were blue. So that was dependent on if the entire case would be dismissed. But on appeal, that's more of like on the state level. You might have a mixture. You might have a mixture, and it really depends on the judges that are going to be hearing the appeal. So that is on a state level. So, but excellent question. Really good one. Really, really good one. Okay. All right, guys, I hope you're having fun. I hope I'm not bringing the stream down, but this is just really hard to read. The shenanigans do not stop. But sometimes if you look at these documents and you have more context, you can really look at it from a different lens, right? Okay, let's go back into the debauchery. Okay, so Fanny had a few arguments here. She claims that there was a defective subpoena um, that was coordinated with pleadings in the election interference case. So again, she's looking at those dates, right? Prior to the attempted service of the subpoena, um, Jocelyn filed a consent motion to seal their divorce proceedings to keep them private. The court sealed the divorce on February 10th of 2022. It was only after Jocelyn sought to subpoena Fanny that there was a request to unseal the proceedings. So she's basically saying, hey, it feels like you're attacking me. Like if it was sealed for almost a year, why are you unsealing them now, right? This sequence of events, coupled with the absence of relevant basis for deposing Fanny, is in an uncontested no-fault divorce where the parties have been separated for over 2 years, suggests that Jocelyn is using the legal process to harass and embarrass Fanny. Okay, so here we go. We see that again. Upon information and belief, because the parties to the above style divorce have no minor children that they each contend in the marriage is irretrievably broken, the only potential issue that might be relevant to Nathan Wade's current employment would be how his compensation relates to the division of marital property. How does she go from saying there's no issue, there's no evidence that you can get from me, there's no information you can get from me, but maybe you can get information about how much you got paid? Okay. Yet, even this is not an issue presently in dispute. And even if it were, Jocelyn has acknowledged through counsel receipt of financial documents related to Nathan Wade's employment by the Fulton County District Attorney. In fact, the custodian of records for Fanny's team has provided Jocelyn with all the documents related to his compensation. So she's basically saying, hey, you got the documents that are related to how much he got paid. We gave them to you. So what else do you need to talk to me about? As a result, defendant Jocelyn Wade has released from deposition. The deputy of operations for Fulton County would have the most relevant information related to practices and procedures concerning the employee and contractor compensation. Okay, so argument one, we're like, hey, you're harassing me. Hey, I don't have information. You're trying to annoy, embarrass, and oppress me. What are you doing, Jocelyn? You're just trying to get divorced. What are you doing? Argument three. They said that there was an issue with service on January 8th. So, they tried to serve Fanny at 10 a.m. So she's trying to say that there's a technicality with the way that was done. And then her fourth argument shows that the deposition fails to state how the testimony would be recorded, written, or transcribed. Okay, so she wants to know, like, even if you were to win and you got me to answer these questions, you didn't tell me how the questions would be recorded. Would it be recorded on audio? Would it be video? Is it going to be transcribed? Is somebody going to write everything I say? All that sort of stuff. So that seems pretty routine. As a result, it is not reasonably calculated to lead that the DA or her counsel knew what information is being sought. This is nothing more than a fishing expedition designed to vex Fanny. Based on the foregoing, Fanny respectfully requests that this court help her in entering an order granting a motion for a protective order. Wow. So that's everything she was talking about. I wanted to come back to that in this context because I know in the court of public opinion, there are a lot of supporters. I respect your decision to support Fanny. As an agent of justice, I cannot co-sign that. Let the lady get divorced. Let her leave. Let her and Nathan part ways. Y'all do what you need to do. But that was not okay. And I just wanted you guys to see that from woman to woman, my perspective If you're interested, you're interested. If you're not, you're not. Right? But I just wanted you guys to see it from that perspective. Okay. Yesterday we got a pretty interesting comment, and I saw a lot of you guys weigh in. Like to lead with facts in this scenario. We're using facts. We're looking at this court document back in January. We saw over these last few weeks that their relationship was admitted to. Information has come out, like even with the cell hawk data, that Nathan would go home to Jocelyn after being in Fanny's vicinity. Okay. Where do we leave off? Shout out to Nurse Janice, who became a new member. Good to see you on my side, Nurse Janice. I hope you are doing well and you had an excellent day. Really good to see you, sis. Shout out to E. Capone, who says, AV, what it do? What it do, E. Capone? Hope you are doing well. Shout out to one of my favorite people, Boston, Mass, who comes from Boston, Mass, who says, on a lighter note, let's hear that Boston accent. Your friend from Dorchester. So you guys love this. St. Patty's Day is a huge, or St. Patrick's Day is a huge, huge, huge holiday in Boston, right? There's a huge Irish population there. Shout out to all my favorite Irish people and Irish people in general. Huge holiday. But in Boston, there's like a St. Patty's Day parade. It's not drinking. It's not drinking. A lot of people wear green, wilding out everywhere. It's amazing. It is amazing. Green beer everywhere. This green beer all over the place is fantastic. But Boston is such a tight-knit community. I had so much fun when I lived there. And, I'm a true Bostonian, born and raised. Like, just moved to Atlanta almost a year ago. But I miss home a lot. But yeah, I posted something on Sunday and I used my Boston accent. And it's funny because I'll give you a story, Boston, Mass, because you mentioned it. I was thinking about a neighbor. I bought my first house when I was 29. Sold it before I moved here. And, I was really young, and I like to call these folks townies. I had a lot of townie neighbors. So on my first day moving in, I was so excited. I was in my third year of law school, huge accomplishment. I was working so hard, working full-time, going to law school at night. I was working so hard. And then, finally bought this house. I was pumped. Get there on move-in day. One of my neighbors, she drove by my house. She parked in my driveway. She rang the doorbell. It was just like, hey, I'm your new neighbor. I live next door. It's so good to meet you. What's your name? And I didn't invite her in. I was just like, oh, hey, my name is AV. I'm really excited to have my first home, that sort of thing. I wasn't going to invite her in. I just thought she was going to say hi, drop off a pie or something, right? She started walking in. I'm like, okay, come inside. Since there's boxes everywhere, come inside, right? And so, she was really sweet woman. But she's just like, I haven't been in here in a few months, but just so you know, the last person, they had a lot of sewage problems. So you might want to look into that because it backed into my house. I'm just letting you know what the history is because, you seem young. Are you by yourself? You single? You got a guy? Are you engaged? How'd you buy this great big house? What are you, a nurse? What do you do? How much money do you make? Okay, I'm going to go tell everybody what I just learned about you now. See you later. I'll never forget this lady. But I would go to our holiday parties in the neighborhood and everybody's like, oh my God, you sound just like her. I can turn it on and off. But that is the best example of a Boston accent I can ever give you guys. So Boston, Mass, I hope you enjoyed that. Shout out to Truist, who's back. Ooh, the plot thickens. I hit the wrong button. He says, AV, did I hear correctly that Fanny was the one who started the rumor that Nathan's wife cheated and that it may not actually be true? Also, thanks for shouting out my sister. I'm always sending her the links when you guys go live. Thank you so much, Truist. Yeah, I showed you the document. I don't know if it was a rumor, but that is included in the document. She did indeed include that in the document. We watched, Lead and I, probably 2 weeks ago now, we watched a interview of Jocelyn Wade's attorney kind of talking about this, which, the interview was, I think, at the end of January. And she had mentioned that that allegation was not true. So don't quote me on it, but I do know that she mentioned that there were some attacks that happened from Fanny's side, that sort of thing. That's why I just wanted to show you guys the document itself, because that's not me picking a side. That is you, court of public opinion, looking at it for yourself. I did inject some of my personal thoughts there, but we all looked at that together. Shout out to E. Capone, who says, say beer one more time. Beer. I don't know. There's a thing, like the key to the Boston accent is it's the letter R is pronounced like an ah, right? Like an ah, like AH. You'll get it. You'll get it. You'll get it at some point. Shout out to Gigi. Hi. Gigi, thank you so much. Super, super generous of you. Gigi says, hi, AV, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much. I have to keep you guys entertained, sometimes with little silly puns and that sort of thing. But I need to make sure that you guys are happy when you're here and really, really enjoying yourself at the same time. Because it's like it's edutainment, you know, like we're looking at this stuff together. We're looking at all of the shenanigans. We're looking from the sidelines, like what is happening? This case is crazy. It's insane, right? But at the same time, we're also doing what we can to create awareness, raise awareness on what's happening, you know? So Gigi, thank you. Very, very generous of you. And I'm not sure if this is your first super on my side, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. Shout out to Boston, Mass again, who says that was cool. Michael. All right, cool. Thank you. And now it's good to know your name. Your name is Michael. Michael from Boston, Mass. Super appreciate it. And thank you so much for all the love. He recently found me and it's just like, hey, I didn't know you were from Boston. I'm like, yeah, I think you found me on the Nick stream. And guys, let me know. I need to send an email to Nate the lawyer to get him on here. It would be really, really cool to bring Nate back. Okay, guys. Lee Little says, AV, can I park your car? You see what I mean about the ah? It's not an R, it's an ah. Yeah, you can park my car anytime. Any single time. All right, guys, it's been about an hour and a half. I'm going to go just to make sure I didn't miss any cash apps over here. I think we might be all caught up, which is good. Nope, just kidding. Shout out to Salty, who sends $20. Thank you so much, Salty. I think this is your second one. You blessed me yesterday. So it's really good to see you again. And thank you so much. She says, no comment, no question, pure love of the game. Thank you so much, Salty. Shout out to Alton. Alton says $3. He says, love the show. Thank you so much, Alton. I hope you guys like it. I really do. I hope you guys had a good time today. And I am all caught up on cash apps. Okay, guys, we will be back later this week. My editor and I have finished a video. Hopefully it's going to be uploaded tonight or tomorrow, but we will premiere it. What it is a synopsis of the Georgia bar complaint against Fani Willis. Again, pure facts, and some fun clips from Lead and I doing that together. But I'm so happy that you guys joined me today. We had fun. We had a good time. And I will see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Bye.